I'm going to do a real quick video on sign etiquette. There are certain things that you do and do not do when you're signing or finger spelling that will just help with clarity. So the point of signing is to communicate, right? So if you're signing just all over the place, it's gonna be very hard to communicate clearly with a deaf person. So the top one that I would like to talk about is dominant versus non-dominant hands. So when we're signing, each sign is produced in a certain way. I am right hand dominant, therefore all of my signs are going to be right-handed. So that being said, if you're a left-handed person, feel free to go ahead and literally like exactly copy me. So like you see it from the right, yeah, you're just going to do exactly what I'm doing. If you're a left-handed signer, but if you're a right-handed signer, you're going to have to look at how the video is and just kind of go orient yourself. But the point of this is, so we're going to have not dominant and non-dominant. When it comes to sign language and 99.9% of the signs, your dominant hand is going to do the movement, whereas your non-dominant hand is going to be your placeholder. So remember I taught you the sign for when. You see that my dominant hand moved and my non-dominant hand was the placeholder. So it's very, very important that you do not switch from non-dominant to dominant, because it ends up making that's what it ends up sounding like in sign language. And it's one of those things that deaf people will be just going back and forth, like, because you're going from dominant to non-dominant hand in terms of, or switching dominance in your hands. And so suppose I sign when, and then I signed another sign that's different. So suppose I signed when and then I signed who. It's kind of confusing. So this was doing the movement, that's my dominant hand, and then who, I changed it. So you have to make sure whatever the movement is, you stay with your dominant hand, whatever it may be, and it's up to you, whatever you want it to be. It can be left or it can be right, it's up to you. So now with finger spelling. So finger spelling, again, you have your dominant hand, which for me it's my right. We've talked about having it in a neutral position. Don't face it to the side, or just make sure you have it faced out. It's not going to be perfectly out because that actually hurts. It's actually more going to be towards the side because that's how your hand naturally rests. So when you're finger spelling, I've already taught you the different letters, and I'm going to now introduce you to up versus down letters. Okay, so up letters are going to be your letters that are up. So B, F, X is an up letter, K is an up letter, so D is an up letter, anything that's kind of pointing up. Down letters are going to be like M, N, P, Q, that type of thing. So be mindful of the up down letters. So when we get to the point of actually practicing finger spelling, when you're doing it receptively, when you're taking in the sign language and trying to figure out exactly what they're saying, be mindful of the up down letters, and that will help you be able to understand the words that people are finger spelling. So we'll talk more about that later, but I just wanted to throw that in the up down letters. Now for double letters, okay, so suppose you have like for the like a B, the bug. So you have B. So you have options. You can do EE or you can do E. Sliding it or bouncing it is going to denote two different letters back to back. So for look, you have L-O-O-K. You can, or just as long as you make it clear that there are two letters. So you have, I guess, three options. So bouncing, tapping, and sliding. So I'm going to be very honest that the sliding is not very clear. So I typically bounce or I will tap. Those are your options. I'm just reading my notes, sorry. So that's about it. Just make sure dominant hand stays your dominant hand. Up down letters, be mindful of them. Double letters, make sure you tap or bounce or slide, whatever you're comfortable with. And finger spelling, it needs to be in a good position. Okay?